Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Wildfire Gaming, and we're opening some more packs of beta and seeing if we can crack something a little bit special. So I have another 12 packs of beta, and we're just going to see if we can get something hopefully really cool. So in my last one, we got 4 uniques and 1 foil. So hopefully we can get another 4 uniques would be fantastic in this one, and four a load of foils would be great as well. I can already see I've got a foil in this one. Uh, so there you go, starting off strong. We have Bone Rebel, the Crabs, the War of Air, Spin Attack, and there's our foil, the Skirmishers of Mao. Now, I quite like these guys. I think they're really good. With the ability to actually move, shoot, just as an added ability, and then make it additional attacks is just fantastic, especially for the price. And to get a foil of them, I think is great. Um, and you don't see obviously the fact that the foils, if I can get the shine off of it. Show you the bit that is covered by the word text is great, and I think that's a really nice feature. It's a great way to show off the artist's work in full, and I would definitely encourage that be kept that way. I just love being able to flip between the two sides. And I think that's something I find quite good about sorcery, is just all these little bits where they help support the artists, and are very much more a player-based game than some other games out there. Is definitely something I want to encourage, and look forward to. So we have, for our first exceptional of this one, it's floodplains. I do. In some ways, I hate floodplains because I've played against them more than I played them, and I usually end up losing to the water players because of it. But that's just personal experience and trauma. Minecart Madness and the Constrictor. And then we have an Ancient Dragon as our first elite. I've got to say, I do love the dragons, so I'm quite hopeful to see more dragons in just all the sets. And speaking about sets, I mean, even though we've got Gothic around the corner, or Gothic is here really, what do you think, what are you hoping for the next declared set? What is your hope? What would you like to see? Is there anything in particular? I mean, I think it would be quite fun if we did something like either one of the Australasia countries, something a little bit off the beaten path. Oh, and we have another foil. So we are really starting strong with these. It's a Wall of Fire. And that's gorgeous. I don't know if you can see the foiling, but that really does pop. So quite happy to see that as my second foil. And then we have Border Militar, Mercenaries. But yeah, I think I would like to see something a little bit off the beaten path. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with like doing a set based on like Greek mythology or Japanese mythology, but I would like to see something, I don't know, maybe based off Indian mythology, or maybe Native American, something that we don't really see too much of. Blaze. Now, this is a spell I used recently to really good effect, and it was pointed out to me that a couple of these back to back, or with the combination of 7 League Boots, becomes quite deadly because you can actually go around multiple times. Your character can actually go back and forth across multiple sites to keep hitting enemies by spinning round and round, to do more damage. However, I do have a question if that would actually work, because it only says when it stops, each unit along the trail takes 2. So I'm not entirely sure that would actually work within the rules. From what I can see, it probably wouldn't, but it's a nice idea. Lucky Charm, Cyclops, and then we have an Infiltrate. So I put that in a couple of decks, and it's never come out for me. So for whatever reason, that one just seems to always want to stay hidden away, or it's just never the right time to play it. So hopefully I'll get to actually play that one time, and will have a real impact on the game. Okay, so we've got a site as our final pull. So there's the Ogres, Miracle Worker, Father Bear. I always go after the video. I'm always going back through these and trying to spot the curiosos if there are any. But I must admit, it is very hard to spot sometimes because it's just like things have dropped down, moved, or slightly had word changing or symbol changes. So I would encourage everyone to be very careful when you're looking at your cards to make sure you're not missing a curioso, because obviously of how much value they are compared to everything else that you may be playing. A Phantasmal Shade. Then we have a Mariner's Curse. Mariner's Curse even. Tide Naiads. And we have a Mirage as our elite site. And I quite like all the red shading on this one. So that's our elite. So we're not doing too bad so far. We've picked up 2 foils. Hopefully we will get a unique very soon. I would really like to see another unique. We have another land as our end pull. But yeah, so I think that for me, that's where I like this game, because you don't have to buy premium products to get just some of the cards. They're not hidden behind premium projects. Really, you have to pay £30-40 for, and it doesn't feel like I have to fight to get these products. I've got to admit, the only one that felt like was Dragon Lord, where it did feel like we had maybe some scalpers jumping in and grabbing those. And hey, ask for a unique, and we've got a unique. So we've got our first unique of the video. It's Mirror Realm. I quite like Mirror Realm, so I'm quite happy to see that. It's a unique site of shimmering reflection. This site enters the realm as a copy of another nearby site. So I'm quite happy to see that. I actually would love to get the playmat, and I do plan to pick that up. I've just got enough points now to actually pick that up, and a few other bits where it makes it worthwhile to ordering them from America. So if you are using the point system, the dust system, which I love, by the way, because it really rewards you for opening boxes and going to events, and getting those points feels really nice. But not only that, but them being able to buy products that you wouldn't normally be able to buy, and ordering them does feel good. I would say, obviously, if you are over here in the UK or anywhere in Europe, just be aware that you do have to pay shipping on top of those, and it can be quite a bit, obviously, with the tariffs and that. So just be aware of that and factor that in for when you place an order. Just to be aware, and also when you get them, depending on if customs here look at them, they may also add on extra taxes if they feel it's needed. So don't be surprised if you suddenly get the Royal Mail knocking on your door asking for more money. It has happened to me on other products, so I fully expect it to happen at some point when I start ordering stuff from the States. Sometimes that can come back and bite you. Okay, we have a watchtower for our last, before our final pull, which is the Selfless Simulacrum. I do love this card. I just love the art for this card. An elite fairy of Syncrest Flattery. And it took me a little while actually to realise when I first looked at this card that it's a fairy. And with Arthurian Legends, I was like, I really would love to do a fairy deck, and this can be basically another card into that set. So I was really happy when I realised that these are fairies. So because at some point I will probably do a fairy deck just to have, because I like the way that they've done them. You know, they're not all they're more, I suppose, in keeping with the Arthurian legends rather than just all very helpful. Some of them can be quite dangerous, and they certainly feel that like that in this set. Listen to me umming all the time. That's a bad fault of mine, so tell me off. I'm hoping for another foil in a minute, but unfortunately we haven't got in this one. But we have got an avatar. We've got the Spark Mage. I don't know if you've had this same thing where I seem to open a lot of Spark Mages. I don't mind, but it does seem to be quite a lot of them. We have a Flood, a Waypoint, and then the last of our exceptions is Stormy Seas, and then we have a Devil's Egg. Now, I think Devil's Eggs and Angel Eggs will definitely come into their own more as we go through more sets, and they definitely seem to be a card I think that will pick up value and pick up worth. Even now, I think they can actually be quite good and can be, quite effective in the game. I've played a few of them, and I've played with them and against them, and I think they are very good. Okay, so I can see straight away we have another foil. Hopefully it's, I don't know, a unique. I'd love to say. I want to be greedy here and say a unique would be great. We have a Snow Leopard, and then our foil is an Old Salt Anchorman. Unfortunately, not quite the unique I was after, but hey, I'll take it. I love any foil, and I think that's the other thing as well, because the foils aren't in every pack. It does feel like they are actually, you'd love to see them when they arrive. It feels like nice when they show up. Other games, it feels sort of like, oh, it's just a foil, because they're in every pack. It doesn't feel that exceptional to pull them. It doesn't feel like, oh, okay, I've pulled something really good. We've pulled a Rubble. Surprisingly, Rubble can be quite hard to find in some of the the packs. We have a Psionic Blast, an Autumn Unicorn, a Giant Shark as our last exceptional, and then we have the Adept Illusionist. So the Illusionist, I think, is a really good card for Water. It really holds its own because you can just keep bringing them back, and they just keep hitting. So I've seen, including myself, a lot of people really rushing to get rid of these before they settle onto the battlefield, and if possible, banishing them so that they don't just keep bouncing back. So if you can banish one, it sort of stops that loop straight away, which is part of their pull. Really, is just that they always bring their one back. And obviously, watch out for like Lady of the Lake situations where someone can actually just resurrect one of them and brings both of them back. So I'm always sort of wary and hoping to banish at least one of them just to stop those sort of trails, if possible, before they get going. Okay, so what else have we got then? We've got the bear, the worm, the serpent, a teleport, a dispel. Sorry, I'm going a bit fast through those, aren't I? An Anchorman, a Riptide, a Scorpion, a Common Sense, Fire Harpoons, and a Rustic Village. So we have a Shield Wall, a Quagmire. I don't think we've seen one of those yet in this box. As a lad, and then we have a Monstrous Gargoyle, and we have Replication, another war one. Conjure a copy of an artifact carried by the caster. So I mean, this can be a very powerful tool, especially with the Philosopher's Stone or one of the cores, being able to repeat it is just great. But don't obviously think just those items. It can also be used to double weapons or instruments. So it can be really useful in other ways as well. So I'm always quite happy to see it. I love the art of it as well. It just sort of pops and really sort of stands out as something quite unique, even though it's only an elite. But I will say that. We're going to go on to the next one. So you need to make sure it's in frame. Otherwise you won't be able to see what I'm opening. Let's go. And yeah, I mean, I'm quite excited for Gothic, and seeing more of the spoilers has definitely made me very happy to see it. Also, just before Christmas, so it's sort of a little Christmas present to myself. The only issue I think with it is obviously we're in the UK potentially facing it not arriving at first. If not, I'm just a bit worried it may actually not arrive until January, which will be really disappointing if everyone else gets to have it for a month and we don't. So we have our second avatar. We have the Flame Caller. Again, is a really cool little avatar. Doesn't really see much play, I feel, because the other avatars are sort of taken over now. The Torsham Trinket, again, that's a brilliant card, and I think that's going to see a lot of play just in general. It just because it's colorless, it's just easy to use. I think we'll see that for a long time, unless they suddenly bring out something a lot better. The Digging Team, the Warrior Wall, and then for our final card we have the Twist of Fate, another unique. I love to see them. So this one is unique magic to reverse one's fortunes. Exchange life targets with a target opponent. X is the difference between your life totals. So if you have the mana for this, you can suddenly switch it on your opponent, flip round, and then you will have all that high life gain, and hopefully you've got a minion sitting by ready to hit them in the face to put them in death's door. I think that's the other mechanic which not talked about as much in outside of sorcery, or even in sorcery, is the death's door effect. I do like that death's door. So it's like, okay, you've taken me down to 0 life. You can't really hit me anymore. Now you have to hit my avatar. How are you going to do that? And it gives the person who is on death's door a chance to sort of reply and hopefully pull out something extraordinary to be able to actually no, I can still win the game. I'm going to pull this maneuver off, and gives them an opportunity to respond and push back. So it doesn't make it. I've pulled one card. I've suddenly got you down to death's door. And that's the end of the game because I had one lucky pull. It gives your opponent a chance to find something to say, no, I can, let's carry on this game for a little bit longer and see what we can get to. And our last card is the Standing Stones, an elite monument. So I don't know exactly why I said elite monument, an elite land. And makes all your spellcasters there. So all your minion spellcasters there. So not doing too bad. So far out of 12 packs, 10 out of 12 packs, we've got 2 uniques and 3 foils. So quite happy already. We've also got 2 avatars. We haven't got any jewel ones yet, and I would love to see a higher rarity foil. Something like unique would be wonderful. So we have the crabs, the polar bear, and we have I didn't even see it. We have an elite monument to the arrogance of man, the chains of Prometheus. So I mean, I like the giant in the background, but let's have a look on this side. All the people crawling up the bodies. So yeah, I'm really happy to see that. I love to see any kind of foil, but that one will go straight into a sleeve. But yes, always happy to see foils. Wasn't the unique I was hoping for, but hey, I'll take it. We have a few more to go. We have the Autumn River. And then we have a Poison Nova. We have, oh, speaking of dual lands, there's our Lighthouse. Do like the golden effect that's been put there on the inside of that wave. I just think that's a real nice attention to detail there. And then we have a Hippogriffs. And we have the Purge Juggernaut. This can just be wipe all of your enemies out so easily, just because it moves to each, it moves to a site, kills all the minions there, and just keeps going every turn. So it does make it a priority for your opponent to kill it on their turn before it can wipe out even more people. So if you can give this strike, if you can give it a charge, it can really catch your opponent off guard on that first turn and really wipe. It's a mini, it can be a board wipe for you without actually having a board wipe. Oh, sorry about that. Let me move. And I think we have another foil, guys, for the last pack in this video. We have the Goons, Spin Attack, the Bats, the Buffalo, and we have another Elite. Hey, so we've got 2 Elites foils, which is great, because sometimes you only get 1 Elite or Unique in a pack. And it's Observatory, which I'm always happy about. I quite like that as a land, just being able to look at your 3 top cards and put them back in any order, especially if you then got a way to draw those cards, which in Air is often the case. And there's a bit you don't get to see that often. The bottom part of the painting. So as you can see, that's all covered normally. And, that's great. I love the way as well it's got like the 2 moons in the picture. So, you're not necessarily somewhere on Earth, you're somewhere else. But that's great to see, another foil, especially for land. I've got to admit, I do feel like with the way that you have a smaller land deck and the effect that they can have on the games, which might surprise people playing other types of games where like your energy or your lands are just there to provide stuff and don't do that much in comparison. The lands here really feel impactful. If you get the right lands in the right order, it can have a major effect on how your game goes. So I do think they are worth something. It feels like they're worth quite a lot. We have a planar gate as our last elite of this video. So I feel like I've done really well. We've got 2 uniques out of 12 packs. That's not bad. The last video, I think we had like 4. So out of 24 packs, I think that's 6 uniques. So that's about right. We have 2 foil elites, plus a load of other foils. So far, I think out of the box, I've got 6 uniques. 4 dual lands. So it's definitely working out the numbers wise, but I think I'm quite happy with what I've got in terms of the cards. I've pulled a couple of cards I haven't got for my collection, so I'm very happy to see them. And yeah, do follow for more. Let me know what you think about it, what you liked, what you didn't, what you would like to see more of, and hopefully we can make better content for you. All right. Have a good one.